Hello and welcome to the sewing studio. Today I'm going to show you how to make the block in the quilt behind me. Now this quilt was made by one of our tutors here called Jan, and she's very kindly given me her permission to share this block with you. And this block is called Cuckoo's Nest, and we make it using a layer cake. And the beauty of this is there's 42 10-inch squares in a layer cake, and we're only going to need 36 of them for this. So if you've got any in the pack that you're not so keen on, this is your opportunity to take them out. So what do? We take 3 squares and we're going to cut through 3. So I've got 3 here, which I've already pressed together. Now usually I don't press pre-cuts, but when you're cutting through 3 layers, you want to make sure that they're all beautifully lined up. So these 3 have already been pressed together, and you want to choose 3 that are completely different, either in colour or pattern, so they contrast. So what you do is you cut 2.5 inches off one side. So I've cut through all 3 layers, and I'm going to move that over there. And then you turn your stack, and this is why these spinny mats are so good. If you haven't got one of these, just use a smaller mat, because then you can pick it up and turn it. So then we're going to cut another 2.5 inches off. I'm going to put that one there. Then I'm going to turn the mat again and cut another 2.5 inches. Just going to bring that a little bit nearer to me. I'm going to put that one there, and then I'm going to make one more cut. So turn it again, and I'm going to cut 2.5 inches off again. So that's the only measurement you need to remember, 2.5 inches. And what you're left with then is a 5-inch square, 2.5 inches by 5 inches. Then you've got this one that, if you remember, that went there. So I'm just putting it back together, a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. And then this one went here. Let's just slide it all up a little bit. So this one went here like this, and then this long one went here like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle the colour, because we want to, when we've sewn it together, let me find one of these down here, we want it to look like that. So the way to do that is, if you take your centre square and you put your centre square underneath, so you can see that we've already changed that colour. And then if you take the next side, so either that L shape or that L shape, doesn't matter which, and take 2 and put them underneath, 1, 2. So you'll see what I mean in a moment. So put them underneath, 1, 2, and put those underneath. So you've now got something which looks like this. So you're going to see when they're all joined together, I'm going to put that one there, and that one there, because that's a repeat of that. That's what we're trying to achieve. So we're now going to go over to the sewing machine, and we're going to join these together. So I've done that with lots of other blocks. As you can see, I tend to cut them all and then take them to the sewing machine, so that I'm not up and down, because there is quite a lot of sewing, pressing, cutting. So I tend to do as much as I can in one place and then come back and do the pressing and cutting. But for today, I'm just going to do this one and show you. Then I'll show you how these go together. So we'll take these to the machine. and I'm going to lay them back out again so I know how they're going to go, because it is quite easy to get yourself in a muddle with these. So I'm going to lay them out in front of me like this, so I know what I'm sewing to what. So I'm going to take the top one, and then I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to join it to there. So line it up, and 1/4 of an inch seam. And then I'm just going to, if I show you on this camera, I'm just going to finger press that back to save me jumping up again. And I'm going to join this piece. So keeping my seam well pushed back. So now we are going to have to go and press it and cut it, because as you can see here, you've got this extra piece of fabric now, and the reason for that is you've lost 1/2 inch here where you've joined this piece to this piece because of your 1/4 inch seam. So this now needs to be trimmed back. But what I would do is I would sew all of the pieces that I've got. So I would do the next one like this and the next one, so that I'm not keep hopping up and down to my iron or cutting mat. Alternatively, you might have your iron and cutting mat next to you at your machine, and you can press it and cut it and put the next piece on. So I'm going to go back over and press this and trim it. And then back to the machine to choose the next colour, which is our yellow colour. And that piece will also need to be pressed and trimmed. And then I'm just going to trim this off, and that is the main part of the block done. So what you can do now is, on the one behind me, you join your pieces together. Let me find another one. And so you want lots of different variety of colour. So you join them together like this. So you've got your 4 centre 5-inch squares surrounded by the strips, and that makes your big block. Now on this one behind me, you can see that it's got 3 of those blocks going across and 3 of those going down. So you could do it like that, but if you wanted to vary it slightly, you could do it in rows where you alternate your blocks. So for example, your 5-inch square here is going to your bottom right, and then your 5-inch square next time is going to your top right. So you could make it a different quilt if you wanted to, and you could do it in rows like this. Or you could do it traditionally, which is like the one behind me. So I'm just going to go over to that one, and I'm going to talk you through how that has been quilted and the border. So you can see how these blocks have gone together. As I said earlier, you've got 3 blocks, and this is really beautifully done. Jan's got a really lovely spread of colour, and she's quilted in between each of the big blocks this beautiful decorative quilting stitch, and then she's also gone around the 5-inch squares that are the centre of your block. In addition to that, she's done some lovely straight quilting in the border, which just adds a different dimension. And what I really love, and this is really clever, is she's actually done a lovely quilting decorative stitch in her binding, and she's used the same colour to bind the quilt as she has the border. And I think it's a really lovely example of what you can do with a layer cake. So, as always, have fun, make it your own, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.